All right, everyone, I want to start today with something that happened in my clinic just last week. A 68-year-old guy came in, retired firefighter, tough as nails, never complained about anything in his life. His wife dragged him in because his ankles were swelling up and he was exhausted all the time. We ran some blood work and sure enough, his kidneys were struggling. And you know what he said to me? He said, "Doc, I've been eating healthy my whole life. How did this happen?" That question hit me hard. Because the truth is, some of the foods we think are healthy, foods we've been told are good for us, can actually cause serious problems for your kidneys if they're not working at full capacity. And here's the thing that keeps me up at night. After 30 years of practicing internal medicine, 9 out of 10 people with kidney disease have absolutely no idea they have it. None. Zero. They feel fine, they're going about their day, and their kidneys are quietly struggling behind the scenes. Kidney disease is now one of the top 10 causes of death in the United States. Think about that for a second. More common than you'd believe, and most people never see it coming. Now, before I get into this list, I want to be very clear about something, because I've seen a lot of videos online that scare people half to death without giving them the full picture. If your kidneys are healthy right now, most of these foods are perfectly fine in moderation. What I'm talking about today is specifically for people who already have chronic kidney disease, what we call CKD, or those who are at high risk. If you've been told your kidney numbers are off, if you have diabetes, high blood pressure, or a family history of kidney disease, then this list is absolutely for you. Pay close attention. The reason diet matters so much comes down to 4 things your kidneys have to filter out: potassium, phosphorus, sodium, and oxalates. When your kidneys are working great, they handle all of this without breaking a sweat. But when kidney function starts to decline, these minerals and compounds start building up in your blood, and that's when things get dangerous. So let's walk through the 18 foods that can do the most damage, and I'll tell you what to eat instead, because I know that's what you really want to know. Number 18 is bananas. I know. You've been eating a banana every morning for decades. Bananas are great for weight management, heart health, and energy. I'm not here to tell you bananas are poison, but here's the problem. A single medium banana contains about 422 milligrams of potassium. The National Kidney Foundation recommends that people with CKD keep their daily potassium under 2,000 milligrams. If you're eating 2 bananas, a glass of OJ, and some tomatoes in the same day, you've already blown past your limit before dinner. If you love bananas, try blending a small amount into a smoothie with low potassium fruits like apples, blueberries, or grapes. You still get some of that flavor without overloading your kidneys. Number 17 is avocados. Now this one surprises people. Avocados have been the darling of the health food world for years. And for good reason. They're loaded with healthy fats, antioxidants, and nutrients. But half a medium avocado packs around 485 milligrams of potassium. Plus, avocados are calorie-dense. One whole fruit can run over 300 calories. And weight gain is itself a risk factor for kidney disease. If you're watching your kidney health, swap avocado for cucumber slices or a small amount of hummus on your toast instead. Number 16 is apricots, along with peaches and plums. One apricot alone has about 90 milligrams of potassium. That doesn't sound like much, but nobody eats just one apricot, right? And here's the kicker. Dried apricots are even worse because the water's been removed and the potassium is concentrated. High blood potassium, what doctors call hyperkalemia, can cause muscle weakness, numbness, fatigue, and in serious cases, irregular heartbeat or cardiac arrest. That's not something to mess around with. If you want stone fruits, talk to a registered dietitian about how much is safe at your stage of kidney function. For a safer swap, reach for apples, pears, or berries. Number 15 is oranges and orange juice. One whole orange has around 255 milligrams of potassium. A cup of OJ, which most guys gulp down without thinking twice, has 443 milligrams. That's almost a quarter of the daily limit for a CKD patient in a single glass. A lot of men I see in my clinic drink 2 glasses of OJ with breakfast and think they're being healthy. If you need that morning citrus hit, try apple juice or cranberry juice, which are much lower in potassium. And yes, cranberry juice is actually good for your kidneys, which is a nice bonus. Number 14 is tomatoes and tomato-based sauces. Tomatoes are nutritional powerhouses. Fiber, vitamins, cancer-fighting antioxidants. I love tomatoes. But 100 grams of ripe tomatoes contains up to 237 milligrams of potassium, and when you concentrate them into sauce, paste, or ketchup, that amount goes through the roof. Think about a big bowl of pasta with marinara sauce on a Sunday. You could be hitting 800 to 1,000 milligrams of potassium just from the sauce alone. The stage of your kidney disease matters here. A stage 2 CKD patient can handle a lot more than someone in stage 4. If you're not sure where you stand, that's exactly the kind of thing you should be asking your doctor. Number 13 is pretzels and crackers. I see guys snacking on these in front of the TV every single night. Here's the problem. These snacks are basically salt delivery vehicles with very little nutritional value. The National Kidney Foundation says a healthy diet should contain less than 2,300 milligrams of sodium per day. That's about half a teaspoon of salt. High sodium raises blood pressure, and sustained high blood pressure is one of the fastest routes to kidney damage and kidney stones. Always, and I mean always, flip that package over and read the label before you buy. Better snack options include unsalted rice cakes, raw cucumber slices, or a small handful of kidney-friendly fruits. Number 12 is canned and frozen foods. I understand the appeal. They're cheap, they last forever, and they're easy to prepare. But canning requires salt as a preservative, and a single serving of canned soup can contain over 800 milligrams of sodium. Even frozen vegetables often have sodium added. One serving can blow through your entire daily sodium allowance. If you can't go without canned goods, look for low sodium or no salt added versions, and rinse canned beans and vegetables under water before eating. Studies show rinsing can reduce the sodium content by up to 40%. Number 11 is processed meats. Hot dogs, sausages, beef jerky, pepperoni, corned beef. These are staples at backyard cookouts and tailgates all across America. I get it. But processed meats are loaded with both sodium and phosphorus, and the phosphorus in processed meats is particularly dangerous because it comes from additives and gets absorbed much more efficiently by your body than natural phosphorus from whole foods. The National Kidney Foundation recommends no more than 700 milligrams of phosphorus per day for people with kidney issues. One hot dog can have 400 to 600 milligrams of sodium and a significant chunk of your phosphorus allowance. Fresh, unprocessed proteins like grilled chicken breast, turkey, or fish are far better options. Number 10 is soda. All of it. Regular and diet. Regular soda hits your kidneys from two angles: phosphorus additives and sugar. If you have diabetes, the sugar in soda damages those tiny, delicate blood vessels inside your kidneys, accelerating kidney decline faster than almost anything else. And here's what a lot of people don't know. Drinking sugary liquids is actually worse for your body than eating sugar in solid form because the absorption is faster. Now, a lot of men switch to diet soda thinking they've solved the problem. They haven't. Diet soda still contains phosphoric acid and artificial sweeteners that put additional stress on your kidneys. The best swap is water, plain, sparkling, or infused with lemon or cucumber. Green tea and black coffee in moderate amounts are also fine and actually have some kidney protective benefits. Number 9 is pickles and relish. I grew up in the Midwest, and pickles are practically a food group out here. But one large dill pickle contains around 1,630 milligrams of sodium. That's over 70% of the daily recommended limit in a single pickle. Kimchi, which has become popular with the younger crowd, has about 747 milligrams of sodium per cup. Fermented foods are great for gut health, but if your kidneys are compromised, the salt content makes them a serious risk. If you love that tangy, sour flavor, try fresh lemon juice squeezed over food or small amounts of vinegar-based dressings without added salt. Number 8 is potatoes and sweet potatoes. These are American comfort food staples. A cooked potato has about 610 milligrams of potassium, and a medium sweet potato has around 542. But here's some genuinely good news. You can actually reduce the potassium content significantly by peeling, dicing, and soaking potatoes in water for at least 2 hours before cooking. Then drain and rinse. This process, called leaching, can cut the potassium by up to 50%. Cook them in fresh water and don't use the cooking water. Now I have to be clear here. French fries and chips do not get this benefit. Those are loaded with fat, sodium, and salt on top of the potassium. Leave those alone entirely. Number 7 is dried fruits. Raisins, prunes, dried apricots, dried cranberries. These look like healthy snacks, but they're essentially concentrated potassium and sugar bombs. 1 cup of prunes contains around 1,270 milligrams of potassium. That's more than half your daily limit in one sitting. And because dried fruits are small and easy to mindlessly snack on, it's very easy to overdo it without realizing. Some dried fruits also have added sugar and salt as preservatives. Stick with fresh fruit in smaller portions. A handful of blueberries or a small apple is always going to be safer. Number 6 is whole grains. This one goes against almost everything we've been told about healthy eating, and I want to be careful how I explain this. Whole grains are genuinely healthy for most people. The bran layer of whole grains is rich in both phosphorus and potassium. A cup of brown rice contains about 208 milligrams of phosphorus and 174 milligrams of potassium. Compare that to white rice, which has only about 69 milligrams of phosphorus and 54 milligrams of potassium, roughly 1/3 of the whole grain amounts. So if you have moderate to severe kidney disease, white rice, white bread, and refined pasta are actually the better choice over whole wheat bread, bran cereals, and brown rice. I know that sounds backwards. But when your kidneys can't handle the mineral load, refined grains reduce the burden significantly. Number 5 is nuts. Almonds, cashews, walnuts, peanuts. Guys love snacking on nuts. And in a healthy person, they're an excellent source of protein, healthy fats, and fiber. But nuts are concentrated in both phosphorus and potassium. 1 ounce of almonds, about 23 almonds, gives you 136 milligrams of phosphorus and 208 milligrams of potassium. Cashews come in similarly. If you have kidney concerns, this doesn't mean you can never look at a nut again. But a small measured portion a few times a week is very different from mindlessly eating handfuls out of a bag while watching the game. Macadamia nuts are actually among the lowest in phosphorus and potassium if you want a nut-based snack occasionally. Number 4 is legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas. These are the backbone of plant-based diets and are genuinely fantastic sources of plant protein and fiber. But 1 cup of cooked pinto beans contains 251 milligrams of phosphorus and 746 milligrams of potassium. When your kidneys aren't filtering well, that phosphorus builds up in your blood and starts pulling calcium out of your bones. Over time, that weakens your bones and hardens your blood vessels. If you have kidney issues and you love beans, here's a tip that actually helps. Canned beans that have been drained and rinsed have significantly less potassium than freshly cooked ones. It's not a perfect solution, but it reduces the load. And cooking dried beans thoroughly, then discarding the cooking water also helps. Number 3 is dairy. Milk, cheese, ice cream, yogurt. Now, dairy is one of those foods that's been recommended by doctors for decades because of the calcium and vitamin D content. And I'm not telling you dairy is evil. But 1 cup of 2% milk contains 252 milligrams of phosphorus and 390 milligrams of potassium. For someone with compromised kidneys, that's a significant mineral load. Some dairy products also contain saturated fat, which adds additional stress. Plant-based milk alternatives like rice milk or unenriched almond milk tend to be much lower in phosphorus and potassium, and they're worth considering if your kidney numbers are elevated. Number 2 is spinach. I know, Popeye lied to us. Spinach is loaded with vitamins, phytochemicals, and minerals, and it is absolutely one of the healthiest foods on the planet for people with healthy kidneys. But just 100 grams of raw spinach contains 558 milligrams of potassium. And here's the critical difference from something like potatoes. Cooking does not reduce the potassium in spinach the way soaking reduces it in potatoes. What you cook is what you get. On top of the potassium issue, spinach is extremely high in oxalates. Oxalates are compounds that bind to calcium in your kidneys and form crystals, kidney stones. Even small daily amounts can gradually build up and cause serious long-term damage. Other high oxalate foods to watch include chard, beet greens, rhubarb, and cassava root. The good news is there are plenty of leafy greens that are genuinely safe for kidney patients. Kale, cabbage, lettuce, arugula, and cauliflower are all low in oxalates and much lower in potassium than spinach. And number 1 is alcohol. After 30 years of seeing patients, I can tell you this one is responsible for more kidney damage than most people realize. Alcohol is directly toxic to kidney tissue. It causes inflammation, impairs kidney function, and creates a toxic burden that compounds over time. Alcohol also increases your risk of low blood sugar and dehydration, both of which stress the kidneys significantly. Chronic heavy drinking is one of the leading causes of kidney disease in older men. And I know a lot of guys think a couple of beers every night isn't heavy drinking. But over 20, 30 years, that daily habit adds up in ways your blood work will eventually show you. If you want to keep your kidneys healthy well into your 70s and 80s, cutting back on alcohol is one of the highest impact changes you can make. Your doctor can help you figure out a safe and realistic limit based on your individual health situation. Now, I told you at the start that I wasn't just going to give you a list of things to fear. So let's talk about what you can do to actually protect your kidneys going forward. First, protein is still your friend, just choose the right sources. High-quality protein from fresh, unprocessed sources is fine in moderate amounts. Grilled chicken, fresh fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, sardines, or mackerel, which are rich in omega-3s and vitamin D. Fresh turkey and eggs are all excellent options. If you want to know about a specific food that isn't on this list, ask your nephrologist or a registered dietitian. They can give you specifics based on your blood work. Second, stay hydrated, but be smart about it. Water is the best thing you can drink. Green tea and black coffee in reasonable amounts, 1 to 2 cups a day, are also beneficial for kidney health. Room temperature or warm drinks are easier on your system than ice-cold beverages. If plain water bores you, add a slice of lemon or cucumber. Avoid sports drinks unless you're exercising intensely. Many are loaded with potassium and sodium. Third, read your labels. This one sounds tedious, but it is genuinely one of the most powerful things you can do. Check every packaged food for sodium, potassium, and phosphorus content. The word phosphate in any ingredient, like sodium phosphate, calcium phosphate, or disodium phosphate, is a red flag. Phosphate additives from processed foods are absorbed at much higher rates than natural phosphorus. If you see multiple phosphate ingredients in something, put it back on the shelf. Fourth, cook at home as much as you can. I know that's not always realistic, but home cooking gives you complete control over what goes into your food. You can season with herbs, spices, garlic, and lemon juice instead of salt. You can choose fresh over canned. You can control your portion sizes. When you're eating out, which I know all of you are going to do, ask for sauces and dressings on the side, request grilled over fried, and ask if low-sodium options are available. Most restaurants in the U.S. are pretty accommodating if you ask. Fifth, and this is the most important thing I'll say today, work with your doctor. Get your kidney function tested. Ask specifically about your GFR, glomerular filtration rate, and your creatinine levels. These numbers tell you exactly where your kidneys stand. If you've never had those tested, ask your doctor to add them to your next blood panel. It takes 5 minutes and could change everything. I want to come back to that firefighter I mentioned at the beginning. After we got his diagnosis, we sat down together and built a realistic plan. A diet that worked for him, factored in the foods he loved, and gave him specific alternatives. 6 months later, his kidney numbers had stabilized. He hadn't improved dramatically, but he had stopped the decline. And that, for a man in his late 60s, is a victory. You have more control over your kidney health than you probably realize. The foods on this list aren't necessarily permanent bans for every single one of you. Some of them just need to be limited based on where your kidney function actually is right now. The key is knowing your numbers, understanding your limits, and making choices based on your individual situation rather than eating the same way you did at 35. At the end of the day, the best approach is the one you've always known but maybe haven't always practiced: moderation and variety. No single food is going to destroy your kidneys overnight, but consistent, daily overloading of the wrong things over months and years absolutely will. And here's the flip side of that. Consistently making smart, informed choices, even small ones, can genuinely protect your kidneys for years to come. I've spent over 30 years watching patients go in two very different directions. The ones who pay attention to this stuff and work with their doctors. They're the ones still hiking, fishing, playing with their grandkids well into their 80s. The ones who ignore it until things get serious. Dialysis changes everything. 3 times a week, 4 hours at a time, in a clinic. That's not the retirement any of us are planning. So take this seriously. Not in a way that paralyzes you or makes you afraid to eat, just in a way that keeps you informed and in control, because you've worked too hard your whole life to let something this manageable take you down. If you found this helpful, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've got questions about specific foods that weren't on this list, coconut, soy, eggplant, chia seeds, olive oil, drop them in the comments below. I read them, and I'll do my best to address the most common ones in an upcoming video. Your questions genuinely shape what we cover next, and I take that seriously. Stay sharp, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.